Hello, hello. Welcome to the live. My name is Håkon. You can call me Hawk. And I was starting just a minute early. This live is about bullying and what you can do about it. Um, oh, I gotta turn on Do Not Disturb because I started a bit early. Hope you can hear me, everybody around on. Hello, Lonnie. Welcome. I'm just gonna say hi to everybody first. I want to start off by reading a poem, and I think that's a poem you'll recognize. This poem comes from, and here comes my little darling girl. She wants to join in. Uh, this poem comes from the book Bullied, How I Got By. Brave by Sarah Else. You can be amazing. You can turn a phrase into a weapon or a drug. You can be the outcast or be the backlash of somebody's lack of love. Or you can start speaking up. Nothing's gonna hurt you the way that words do when they settle neath your skin, kept on the inside and no sunlight. Sometimes a shadow wins. But I wonder what would happen if you say what you want to say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I want to see you be brave. Welcome,
Totally
Ronnie.
gets me.
It's okay. I'm very pleased to introduce to you Lonnie Ray, editor of Bullied. And she's done an amazing job in gathering a group of people who can share something about being bullied and what you can do about it, not the least. And she also has her own stories that she tells. That's important. Being bullied is something you really need to feel it in order to talk about it. So please introduce yourself, Lonnie.
Well, I wouldn't say I got bullied into doing this because that wouldn't be right. But there are things that appear to be part of what we came to do in this life, and I've produced 10 books for Rattled Awake. Anthology books are what I love to do because
Hmm.
short stories really can have impact of a book, and we get them out there quickly. I'm just wiping away mascara. Don't mind me. Um, this was a labor of love in no uncertain terms. It was really hard.
Hmm.
It was really hard to do this. Um, my biggest struggle, I would say, aside from revisiting my stories, was really embracing everyone else's and then finding how do we share this with the readers in a way that isn't just a dump of trauma, and who wants to read that? And
Hmm.
I'm always about what's the value? How can we help find some kind of hope in moving forward or healing, or most of all, ending bullying? And it's
Hmm.
through awareness that we can do that, um, and action. So I've recently been through over the last year some really severe bullying, and before that, 4 years before that, it made me suicidal. So I really personally know, but reading the stories and helping you guys write them
Mm.
was it was really hard. It was really painful, and fortunately, we were able to find a way to convey what we wanted to say that won't bring the reader all the way into the trauma and the drama and all the pain, but get enough of a point across to say it was like this in this situation, and then come out with here's the gold that I'm going to mine out of that mess, that coal mine, that dust. And that's why the book was set up the way it is, so that
Mm.
we have the beginning. If a person can't really, and I know what it can be like to dive into details of someone's awful difficult story, and to come out and go, okay, here at the top you can read this part. This is the gist of it, like the summary of an article. And if you want to read the article, you
Mm.
can. And then at the bottom is, well, wish I'd known this, so that you can learn that now. Or if there's ever a next time, so you can learn from
Mm.
that. So it was meant to be as helpful as possible, because the truth is, bullying changes you no matter what. And
Mm.
it's not always a positive pivot. It's a change, and you're trying to recover, and I get it, but you're different. And then what do you do with that? Who do you become as a result of it? Hopefully better, not bitter. And so we really rallied, and I can't thank you enough for giving words to our friends, that Trini and Vidar, and their story of bullies took my babies.
Mm.
All I have to do is think of their photo, and the sadness in their eyes. And it just breaks my heart that there are so many parents out there who are being bullied by a system that is set up to do just that to them. So the awareness of the many different faces of bullying was shocking and important to know, because only through awareness and action comes change. So I really
Yeah.
hope that this book gets out there and makes some changes.
Yeah, and what it leaves me with, having read through all the contribution, is hope, because all of these people are such strong people, including you, of course. I mean, look at you shining. Even though it seems that going through experience like this, it sharpens people. It does. I mean, either you can succumb, as you say, you talked suicide, which is something I do know a little bit about, having worked in social work for more than 20 years. But you can either succumb, or you can sharpen up. You can be active. You can make changes. You can fight. It is definitely possible. It's even possible with what I wrote about. We're going to hear from Trine later on. A system that seems really uncaring and cold and mechanic. Got my dog who keeps on wanting to be a part of the stream.
Nessie,
Kom hit då. Kom hit då. Ja, kom då.
does she know she's part of a published book now? That Trollhead Nessie is in a book.
Kom hit. Oh, yeah, där.
Oh, hello, beautiful.
Yeah, but you can react to, or you can act. It is possible to do something about this. And with this book, I think we're taking a major step forward in awareness that it is possible to act. There's always ways you can change a situation, no matter how bleak. And that is what I'm left with. And that's what I love about the Bullied book. It brings hope. So let's bring up Sharon.
Hey,
Hello,
Sharon.
Hey, Hawk. Hey, Lonnie. How are you? And don't feel bad, Hawk. You're not alone. My dog wants to be part of this too.
Sharon.
So yeah. Um, Always want attention when I get onto the computer. So how are you guys? I'm so glad
Awesome.
to be here with you guys. Yeah. It's
Yeah, by the way,
it's
I
been
see we have some
quite the
guests here. I
journey.
want to say hi to. We got Laura Van Larusso, Spidey
Hi.
Boy, Oli Derrick,
Hi,
Jackie
Ollie.
Halberg,
Hi, Jackie.
Kerry McFarlane. She's a friend from a Star Maker
Come
app,
here.
a karaoke app.
Come here.
So say, and Oily Derrick again. Yes, better not bitter. He says. I love that. Okay, please tell me a little bit about yourself, Sharon.
So what this book actually came out of a conversation. I hope Lonnie doesn't mind that I'm sharing this, but
It
it's a
was
great
because of
place to
you.
start. This is this book came out of a conversation that Lonnie and I had. Um, Lonnie and I have become, we're more than colleagues and supporters in that right. We've become friends, and so we were having a conversation, and Lonnie was asking me questions about my life and things, and we were just sharing. And so I said, I have this really great idea for the woman who loves anthologies and knows how to do the legwork for an anthology. And so out came bullied, how we got by. And this has always been an important topic for me. I have been bullied in multiple phases of my life, in multiple environments. And for me, the bullies, I did what bullies wanted me to do. I stayed silent. And I did try to speak up every once in a while, but that speaking up gave me so much retribution and backlash, no matter what the environment, that I had to protect myself, and sometimes I had to protect my son, so I had to stay silent. And so this book has been it. I we need to have conversations around this subject because I'm about to say something that we all know, but this world isn't getting any better. And that's on us. And it
Hmm.
starts with how we treat each other as human beings. And bullying is getting more severe. To be very honest, Hawk and Lonnie, and I've said this to Lonnie, if the internet was around when I was growing up to the extent that it is now, and cyberbullying was occurring, I don't know that I'd be here having this conversation with you. I
Hmm.
may be, because when I was that age, I was severely afraid of death. So that might have been the only thing that saved me at that point, but I can't even guarantee that because the hell that I went through, at least I had the time that I came home, home was my saving grace. But having if I was cyberbullied, I don't know. So this project, this book, this anthology was a way to start putting a voice to the whole issue of bullying, and to say, you know what, you bullies want us to stay silent, but that's part of the problem. And I am a very big believer in not being part of what perpetuates the problem, but I want to be part of the solution. And I may
Exactly.
not fix it in my lifetime. I hope that we do, but it may not be fixed in my lifetime. But I want to know that I've done everything I can to do my part in fixing it, because I work with teenagers, I work with families. I have a 20-year-old son who has mental health issues, and he wasn't necessarily bullied in the way that we view bullying, but there was, ostracizing and isolating and all that stuff. So this is just a very important topic to me, and I just didn't want to be quiet about it anymore. And it happens. It's not just a school. I mean, one of my chapters is about school bullying. One of my chapters is about family bullying. Uh, Favorite title that I'll ever have. Lonnie came up with it. I can't take credit for it, but she titled it "Louse of a Spouse." think it's beautiful.
Hmm.
And then there is my chapter on workplace bullying. But this book and this project was even more important for me, or for so many reasons. But one of the main reasons is because bullying does happen to adults. Bullying does happen in all different environments. So, yeah. So that's why this was so important to me. Well, so.
Yeah, and you found Lonnie, you found some interesting stats when you were researching the book, right?
I did.
About how
And
many
and
people.
it
Yeah.
it is actually the thing that I believe will change all of this. And that is that 3/4 of a group, 75% of people that witness bullying will join the bully.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna qualify that a little bit. If you don't say something, you're condoning the bully's behavior. It's pretty much joining them. In the
Exactly.
schoolyard, it might look more obvious. In covert bullying, in professional settings, in virtual realities like we have right now, like this, it may be a little less obvious that there's 75% of the people that are still joining in, but they are, because they're not saying something. They're not walking away. They're staying. And the
Hmm.
person who's been ousted, ostracized, pushed down on the ground is now left alone. And I want to switch that. I want to have that. I want to have that obvious to the others, like, this just happened. Don't think it won't happen to you. It's only a matter of time, because people do what they do.
Hmm.
And let's us switch that, flip the script, so that the 75% rally behind the bullied instead. I think it will change everything. Could you?
Yeah, and I see that, when you talk about something, if you dare to say you are bullying me, if you truly if you dare to say that, and you say it openly, this is not okay what you're doing, then the bullies, they in my experience, they are really quite scared of people talking out about what they're doing. That is how I've seen it. If you face them and say, "Can you stop this? I'm not interested in being bullied," or be more. I ended my own bullying in school quite. Yeah, it was hands on, to say it that way. But truly, if you dare to speak up, the whole narrative changes. That is my
In an
experience.
ideal setting, I would say you got damn lucky that it did, because
Mm,
my experience is that it got worse, and they got louder
mm,
and meaner, and it continues because the bully got their bullied feelings hurt, or whatever their problem was, or they were actually
mm,
seen for what they were doing. And so they're gonna, they're gonna do smoke and mirrors, cover up. You're the problem. That's the problem. And they're gonna minimize you, because I have
mm,
not found bullies to be reasonable people. I have found them to be really insulated, insular, egocentric, and arrogant, and not open to reasonable discussion, to say, hey, this isn't okay. I've tried to reason with you. That's why in
mm,
one of my chapters, there's 5 things. And the first one that you can do is, to heal, is don't try to argue logic with crazy, because
mm,
it's insane that there are some people who get their jollies off of pushing people down.
mm.
Basically, sumo wrestle, like, oh, I won. That's what they're doing.
Can I add
And
something, Lonnie?
yeah,
So, for me, my experience with the bullies, I did try and say things when I was in school. Um, and for me, my experience was that they up the ante. It's kind of like a toddler who, they tantrum because they're not getting what they want. And
Mm,
so they become louder, they kick, they scream. Bullies will keep, they want that response, they want that reaction, so they're going to keep going until they get the reaction. Then once they get the reaction, they stop for maybe an hour, 24 if you're lucky, but then it picks back up again. And sometimes the kid that would initiate the bullying, or even the adult in workplace settings that would initiate the bullying, they'll take a break, but they'll get somebody else who's aligning with them so that they're not the next person being bullied to take over bullying of you. It's so it I'm glad that that was your experience, that you're speaking. I mean, I spoke up to adults. I would speak up to my parents. I would speak up to teachers, and the teachers would say to me, I swear, true story, what do you want me to do about it? I can't control them. Are you kidding me? You're the teacher. You're the adult in this classroom. Move their seat. Do not let them sit behind me. Keep me safe. What are you worried about them for? But he was worried that they were going to beat him up, literally. So it's not always easy. That's why I said it's really important. This project was important to me for so many reasons. That's why I struggled to answer your initial question, Hawk, because I could go on for probably the rest of my life as to why this is so important. But the other reason why it's so important is because even when I was growing up, they there were kids that were killing themselves over the bullying or harming themselves over the bullying. But today, the suicide rate is rampant, and the dropout rate from schools is rampant, and parents are getting in trouble because they don't know what to do. And I'm not saying that all parents are wonderful. I mean, there are parents that are, we're all human, and there are some parents that shouldn't be parents. I'm sorry if that offends people, but it's the truth. And but overall, I know situations of kids that actually were told, if you get bullied, come see me. And this is a recent story. Come see me and we'll handle it. And so that's what this person did. And she and the bully got suspended from school. Why?
Hmm.
You told me to come and get help. So I'm coming to get help. And now you're suspending me too because somebody, was bullying me, and I did what you told me to do. So this is another reason why we need to speak out about this stuff, because we can't just keep putting our head in the sand, because bullying exists. And the more we try to the more people try to put their head in the sand and go, oh no, that's not really happening. Kids are dying. Adults are dying. It's crazy. So, yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
go ahead, Hawk. I'm sure you want to respond to that.
No, I want to say something about, you spoke about the suicide rate. I know that in my tiny country, Norway, there was an increase, 70 more suicides in 23 than in 22. And that is quite alarming. We have a small country, we only 5 point something million. So such an increase is alarming. So and it only speaks to me. It says that it's really time that we do something about this. We need to start talking about it. We need to find good solutions together, because this is a complex problem. It doesn't have a single solution. We need everybody to speak up and to chime in with their voice. Even if it's just, if you see somebody being bullied, say, hey, quit that. It's definitely possible. But also here, I mean, on LinkedIn, I've seen a lot of bullying there. People trying to put others down. So speak up, be a voice. Don't be, social, as Laura
If,
Van
if
Russo says, social media can be positive or incredibly lethal. That's very true.
It's extremely true, Laura. And to your point, um, Hawk, part of my workplace chapter in the bullying anthology um, is about how I have witnessed people being mean to others on LinkedIn and other social media platforms. I didn't just pick one. I've seen it on all the ones that I've been on. And I was not I spoke to Lonnie about wanting to bring attention to it, and she also wanted to bring attention to it from her own experiences and what she's witnessed. So we said, let's go for it, because again, if we stay silent, if we stay silent, it's never going to change. If we speak up, it may not change, but the hope is that it will, because at least we're bringing attention to it. But the other thing is, we have to keep bringing attention to it. We can't just have this one conversation or write this one anthology and say, okay, we've all done our job. Bullying's over because it's not over.
Mm.
And
Yep.
yeah, so we I think that we also have to remember, and I know this is going to sound kind of cliche, but it's the only way I can say this. If we could all just operate from the vantage point of that we are all human and we all are part of the human species, what a world this would be. And I know it's so
Mm.
cliche and so much easier said than done, but I want to challenge people out there to just try and start from that vantage point. Just challenge yourself to start from that vantage point.
I don't find that to be a cliche at all. I mean, we all stem from Lucy, was found in Ethiopia. That's the mother of the whole human species, early or humanoid. We all stem from the same source. We are all human, and that is something. That's the
I,
way it is, and it
I
doesn't
want,
matter the color of skin, culture, religion. Who cares? I mean, we're still all human. Yeah, Lonnie.
in Japan, if you leave your wallet on the bar, it'll be there in the morning because cultural norms say so. They all agree. It is a mindset.
Hmm.
It is a decision and a societal pressure to conform to a good thing. Don't steal.
Hmm.
What we have to realize is that this is an option and it always has been. Sure, these people are, oh, yeah, I get it. We're all human. Yeah, we're all part of the human race. If I see a weakness in somebody, I'm going to use it, exploit it, stand on their shoulders, and then on their head. That's our society. And that's what I'm seeing. And it is a decision that we all have to make to stand up. Maybe if there's a gift out of any of this, it is to realize, hey, I'm a human that actually stands upright, and instead of crumbling and or cowering because, oh shit, look what they did to that person, I don't want that to happen. Well, then get away from
Nu
them.
må du gå och lägga dig.
That is what you can do. But we have a society that seems to accept that it's okay to run roughshod over people and muscle flex in uh, big mouth podcasts, pot shots, or um, um, literally tainting the water, spreading rumors and gossip. Birds on a wire set out to conspire and ruin my sunny day. That was the poem I made back in the day when people were
Mm.
doing what they were doing. And it was because the bully has an audience. And
Mm.
there are people willing, especially in a professional setting, to what I'll call sell their soul for a buck. Hey, I can get such and so from this person, fame, fortune. Oh, wow. So I can get something from them. So I'm just going to go, oh, I don't see it at all. It's not me. Thank God it's not me.
You know,
And I'm
one
sick
approach
of it.
I found very well, one approach I found very effective is to simply laugh.
Hi, Jenny.
If you start laughing, if somebody tries to say something to me, hey, who's this? Who are you? You a monk? And they make some fun jokes, and simply to laugh at them, I
When you
tends to
get a
just
chance to, it does. It works.
it
Yeah,
works so well,
it
really. And
does.
if it's
You can laugh.
but you gotta feel it. You just gotta say, I don't care about how you judge me. I could not care less. And that sort tends to just put a huge
Yeah,
hole in the balloon because
it's
bullies
so
are
true.
very often they are like balloons. It only one single little pinprick and they go.
Yeah. Well, if they are surrounded by a bunch of other balloons, buffoons, I'm going to say, who are absolutely supporting it. Hey, no problem. It doesn't bother me that you got ousted. We have a very selfish, apathetic society. And those people that are surrounding and putting up, condoning the bully's behavior often don't know what has happened because it's covert. It's not obvious. And they have no idea. So then the bully's going, dep, 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 and tainting the water, polluting the air, and doing the best they can to undermine someone else for their own benefit. And that
Yeah.
can be invisible to the people for a while. So there is no confronting it. You can't talk to a bully. Not in these days, not on LinkedIn, not with this, not with the,
I'm not quite. I don't quite agree with you there, Lonnie.
yeah, I get it,
I,
you don't, but
no,
that's not my experience. All I've done is cause things to get worse. So
sometimes it's a matter of asking the right questions, because if somebody tells me this is not possible, like when I was started out with making music, people said, that is such a tough road. You can't do this, and sometimes I ask them, okay, are you talking about me or you? Are you saying that this is too difficult for you, or are you saying it's too difficult for me? Are you talking about your own limitations, or you're talking about, or are you just projecting them onto me? And if you find the right questions to ask some of these bullies, they tend to just, ooh, this was no fun. I don't really enjoy this conversation anymore, and they just go into hiding.
yeah, I'm glad you've had that experience. That isn't how my husband was. That isn't how the book collaborators in two different experiences, 4 years apart, acted. That isn't how my parents were. That isn't how it's worked. It is wonderful that you've had that opportunity.
Yeah.
However, for a lot of us, a bully will only get worse or say, you're crazy. You're the problem.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I think it's worth a shot. And I did. I absolutely did. And this is the thing, we want to stand up for ourselves. Originally, the book was called Bullied, How I Stood Up for Myself. Remember that, Sharon?
I do.
And we talked and talked about it. And both of us said, we didn't get to stand up for ourselves. We tried.
We tried, but we weren't being heard.
It didn't
So
work.
it really became more of
How I
a
got by.
situation about how I got by. And I just want to take a minute to thank everybody who has joined us. Thank everybody for the comments. The comments are very active. And if I could,
Thank you.
Hawk, I wanted to bring attention to one of many of the comments, but one that really stands out is that somebody's asking if it's more of a U.S. Situation, and I just want to make sure that we make very clear that bullying happens everywhere. And as you will see, this is one of the reasons why, look, we didn't come on here to say, go get the book or anything like that. But this is one of the, this is
Please do.
that exact question among other comments that I'm reading. It just makes me want to share with you that this is one of the reasons that you should get the book, because we're trying to what's the word I'm thinking? We're trying to defunk the myths, because there's so many myths around bullying, and I'm not blaming you guys for thinking the myths are reality. That's one of the reasons we did this, because when you hear something over and over again, you don't know what's myth and what's reality unless you've experienced it. So bullying is not just a US thing at all. Cyberbullying is not just a US thing. Workplace bullying is not a US thing. Schoolyard bullying is not a US thing. And family bullying and domestic violence and all that stuff that's in this book is not just a US thing. And you will see that from Hawk's chapter, from Nancy's chapter, who couldn't, I don't know if Nancy's here today. I don't think she is.
She
And
is. She was
Trin,
just waiting.
yeah,
Oh, good.
okay. And Trin and Vidar, who are going to be here today, I believe, you will see from their stories that bullying is not a U.S. thing.
I
Or
love
just
the
a U.S.
love the comments. Stay silent for 5 seconds and tell them to repeat what they said. LaRusso said that's also very effective to reframe it. I'm going to bring Trini up now. So here.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Can hear you, can't see you.
Yep.
Let's see. I have to change the there. Perhaps.
Hey, there
Hi,
she
how
is.
are you?
Hi.
So,
Hi,
thank you for
Vidar.
coming. Hi. Thank you for bringing us in. And Hawk, I know you know the most of our story.
Well, I have
Yeah.
a question. I have a question, if it's okay.
Run
Is it-
on.
Okay, so my question for you, and Hawk can translate this question, but I am sure that a lot of our viewers and even myself would like to know more about what um, was your motivation for agreeing to and wanting to write this chapter.
To get rid of a lot of anxious, and to get people to understand that they are telling us things that not really is true, but we can't go back and then say, here you have the documentation for that we have said all the time.
Who's the they in your story when you're who are you talking about right now?
um, Both about the child welfare and the kids.
Okay. So your story talks more about is geared towards systemic bullying, right? And child welfare and things that are going on, not only in your country, believe me, because I've read your story. It's a really well put together chapter and explains a lot. And my heart goes out to you and Vidar for all that you've had to experience. And I for one, as one of the co-authors, want to thank you both for having the courage and the motivation to really put out there in print for all of the world to see what really happens behind closed doors when people are, in the child welfare system. So, I wanted to make sure that people who are watching or listening later, on replay, really understand, what your motivation was and is still.
Bullies
and
took my babies. Or that tells you everything. And for those who think, oh, you just can overcome bullying, this couple has been putting up with this, enduring this on a daily basis since they lost their children in very uncertain circumstances, very unfair, unjust. Let's just fill out, a form on it. And there's no getting over that. It's dealing with it. And what we hope is that maybe getting them in print will have some influence, because now they're number one best-selling co-authors of a best-selling book. Maybe it will help. We're trying to do whatever we can to help
And
yeah,
them.
hopefully,
and the thing is that this is something that the media doesn't want to talk about. That is part of the reason I found it very important to be in this book. My chapter is from a professional. I'm a child welfare worker, a specialized kind of social worker myself, and I wanted to talk about seeing it from the professional side, seeing all the errors that have been done in the case of Tina and Vida, which has led to them not seeing their children for 4 years. And I know that it's not only this father's heart who's touched by the thought of not seeing your child for 4 years. That is horrible.
and also I just want to add too, I hope that you guys get your children back today. But even when they get their children back, this experience is going to stay with them and their children for a lifetime. Yes, they'll work through it and they'll get by and they'll move forward, but we cannot think that because they're going to move forward and they're going to get by, that they're not going to be impacted by this experience for the rest of their lives. And that's the truth about all of us who have experienced bullying. I am not healed because events of today may trigger a memory or trigger a feeling or an emotion. If I hear one more person tell me that I just have to get over it, I may have to get over them, because I don't have to get over anything, because believe me, if I wasn't healed or if Trin and Vidar were not dealing with their current situation. They're still married, by the way, people. Do you know how many couples do not make it through situations like this? They are still married and fighting with each other, loving each other. Hate they don't have the house they used to have, right? Because they don't have the house they used to live in with their kids. Why? Because it's too painful.
Mm.
Mm.
So I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. There's a reality check for all the people that think everybody who's bullied and dealing with being bullied should just get over it. And for those of you that don't think that online bullying is a thing, I challenge you and I empower you and I am trying to inspire you to really open your eyes. Because if you really open your eyes, you're going to see these things. And you may choose not to do anything and just go about your life, and that's fine. You can choose to do that. But if you open your eyes to these things, you may decide that there is something you want to do about it. And trust me, you don't have to do anything big or grandiose. You don't have to go march on in Washington or in any of the state, of the country's capitals. You can do very simple everyday things to do your part to end bullying. So Trin, what is something that you want our audience and people to know? What do you want them to know about your experience, how it's affected you guys, and what they can do going forward to help be the part of what ends bullying?
They can do as I did earlier, half an hour before we went on now. I was speaking to a friend of us that had exactly the same problem as we had, because I told him that I can't speak to you now. I have to speak to you later because I'm going to an event on our book. We have let go out now the other day. And then he told me, "Are you really? I need help." And I said, "Okay, just yeah, I'll let you know. I don't know if it's on here today, but I told him to get in contact with him. He's going to call me now today or tomorrow, or whenever he is ready for it, to speak about his challenges." So I just try to tell them, never ever give up. Let them better see your eyes and put them, ask, why are you telling me that, Udulan? What the reason do you have for it? Have you documentation, everything? As it, let them work hard to convince you that they are right.
You know, I would like to share a little bit. You know, it's kind of different that a social worker is a part of something like this. Most of my colleagues, they don't want to even talk with people like Trina and Vidar who have lost their children, because they are so afraid of being sued or admitting to mistakes or whatever. And the thing is, Norway has been judged in the highest court, in the human rights court in Strasbourg, 37 times for the errors they made when it comes to human rights. That is quite sad. But what I think is important is when you get into a situation like this, if anybody should end up there, is to, as Tina said, document everything. Every meeting that you go to, you record it. And you don't have to ask for permission, at least not in Norway and Sweden. But that is all important for two reasons. One is it allows you to document if they write something that is not what's happened in the meeting, then you can document, okay, this was not right. But it's also about keeping calm yourself. Because when somebody attacks your ability to be a parent, your ability to take good care of the children, it's easy to get riled up and to get, yes, I'm going to get them, and really get angry. that is a reaction that is not very efficient when it comes to working with social workers and CPS. So recording it will help keep you calm. And that's one thing. And another thing is you should educate yourself. Trine has done an amazing job at reading the Swedish laws. I mean, she's Norwegian, but her children, they have lived in Sweden. She has educated herself on the laws, so she knows them all, and she knows them just as well as I do. Know the Norwegian laws. That is really, really, really essential. Read them and understand them, and then get a good lawyer. Get and that's crucial, and it's often you often think that okay, I just get a lawyer, doesn't matter who it is. But my experience is that there are lawyers who are supporting the system and making good money from it, and then there are those who are actually able to do something, who are able to think outside the box, who dares to be tough when they meet a tough system. And that is very fond of lawyers in general. It can be definitely necessary. Yeah.
I would just like to contribute to it on a local level as well. It isn't just when CPS, our government agency, as Nancy has experienced, just like Trina and Vidar, which would have to feel overwhelming. It happens locally too, and documenting what's happened is really important. It helps to build a case if there should ever be one, so that you can take legal action. And I had it happen in a neighborly kind of manner, and the woman was out of control, but no one else would speak up. And so I was deemed the problem, and I said, it's not me, I'm just the one who's saying something. And eventually, the woman went really off the rails, and I was able to call the police. But the property management wouldn't have anything to do with it. So you really have to document and look back up your own self on what's happening, because it could escalate. This woman stood outside my door and threatened me, and the police were here with a quickness as soon as I said those words. But does it have to get that bad? Sometimes it will, though, because you do try to speak to them and you do try to calm it down, and you do, and it doesn't work. And so bullying can escalate to, either suicide or death of someone else, because you've got some people. Listen, think apathy is the. I saw, the pastor's remarks about agape love. God, I would hope so. However, apathy seems to run these people more than anything. And apathy, they care. They just don't care about you. And it's a very, very dangerous trait. And those who are apathetic are happy to build a wall around them, and people that will insulate them, and it must be you. You're the problem. And then it can make you a little crazy. So one of the best things you can do is write it all down, recognize you're not nuts, and have people that support you, that really hear you, that really don't poo-poo your feelings. Oh, just get over it. Or, oh, they were just kidding. Or, oh, people talk.
Lonnie, can I add something to that? And Hawk, can I add something to that?
Of course.
You need to keep speaking. Look, take it from somebody who knows. And like everybody, every author in this, every co-author in this book knows. You're going to speak and you're not going to be heard. That's just a fact. It's a sad fact, but it's a true fact. Please, I want to encourage you and inspire you to keep speaking up until somebody hears you, because somebody will hear you. And I know it's frustrating. Believe me, I spent many a night crying myself to sleep in all phases of my bullying, because I wasn't being heard. I wasn't being supported. I, was being told I was the problem. But please keep speaking up, because the other thing about bullying right now that really is weighing on my mind is that there are so many young people that are having mental health issues, and you know they are going to extremes by taking drugs or attempting suicide or committing suicide. We as the adults have to take ownership and responsibility of what we're teaching our youth and how we're supporting our youth. And so I just want to make sure that that is really really made clear, because bullying is not going to go away on its own. I know some people would like to think that, but it's not. And the other thing I just wanted to mention, based on what you were saying, Hawk, is being a social worker who's involved, you know, in this, and there's not many social workers that want to speak up about this. I come from a mental health field background. I know some of the other co-authors in this anthology who aren't here today come from the mental health arena, and there was a and their chapter actually is on how they experience bullying in the field of mental health.
Hmm.
So that I just want to say that you know there's always two sides to the coin. So Hawk is saying, representing that there aren't many professionals that will get involved in a case like Trin and Vidar's, because you know they represent the field of social work and mental health. And then there are the people that, like him, are working in mental health, that are being bullied, that are being overwhelmed, that aren't being supported, and that are being pushed out of that field. And so these are all things that we need to take into consideration, because how do we build an infrastructure to end bullying if we're ostracizing the people that would say something like, I'm so, Hawk, I can't even, like, you touch my heart in so many ways. And the fact that you are, as Lonnie would say, such a stand-up guy, because you are a social worker, but yet you're still in the fight, standing up for what's right, for what you believe is right, and for what we believe is right. And I'm not judging the people that don't do it, because I understand that they're coming from the vantage point of, well, I have to make a paycheck to pay my bills or whatever, or I don't want to, make a bad name for myself in the field and not be able to continue to support myself. So I am not judging in any way, but I just wanted to show it from both sides. So it's very rare that people will stand up because they're protecting themselves from retribution and retaliation. And it's also very hard for those of us in the mental health field to not be bullied and feel supported. I experienced a lot of workplace discrimination. A lot of it was around the fact that I have a physical disability, but some of it was just regular old, you work in the mental health field, so we're just not going to support you. We're going to, you know, cut you down so that we can build ourselves up. Very cutthroat, for lack of a better way to say it. So thank you for letting me add that.
Yeah, and then we got Nancy. Nancy, another one of the co-authors. Do you have a camera you can turn on so he can see your beautiful face?
Hey, Nancy.
There you are.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Nancy.
How is everyone?
Yes.
Oh, we're just peachy.
I was just listening, and look, I don't know if this is it's really important. That's good. You were talking about Trin learning the laws and all that stuff. It's really vital. I've had to do it in my country, and we're a long ways we're a long ways away from each other. But that's how I was able to put my family back together. But honestly, I had to fire all the lawyers. And you can self represent yourself in the courts. And I've done it over and over and over again. And I look, they don't know what to do with me, because they commit crimes against you.
That's really
The
good.
Child and Family Services, look, I'm telling you with the bottom of my heart, all they are another government entity, and they are used as child trafficking. That's exactly what it is. They took their beautiful children, and they will play games over and over again. I recommend, if it's a lawyer, Look, you can go to the court and file a civil claim against them. You can go into the family court. You can file those documents. You can find them online, and you can do everything yourself. And if you've learned their laws, you just throw that right back at them. You put that evidence down, because the lawyers, unfortunately, what I've discovered is that lawyers, they go along with everything, and they stall everything. They're part of it. The family law brings in millions, probably billions of dollars worldwide, and they use the courts. um, it's a real big thing. Like I've got thousands, thousands and thousands of pages on it, and it's filed in the courts. And I'm I'm now at the appeals court level, and I have my Justice Department and the King of Courts bench. I caught him in more fraud against my person. Look, I pushed them all the way through civil, and that's how you can take your documents. If they won't listen to you in the family court, you want to go to the civil. And it's really easy not easy, but if people are able to read through that and sift through that and look at their policy, you can file a suit and you can represent your family, because it's absolutely unacceptable. I would never have been able to do all these things if I couldn't put my family back together. And I can't even imagine for Trin and Arjun what they're going through. It's unacceptable. I can't understand that language.
Yeah, I can translate what Tina is saying is that they have an appeal up in high court, um,
Good. I
superior
caught,
court. So yeah, and that has been the strategy from I came into the case, has been to follow all the different leads, also to follow the money, which you talked about, Nancy, because
yeah,
money is definitely it always comes into play. Um,
yeah,
so, but and I would like to share a little, because I did have some qualms about when I wrote my own chapter. Should I use the name of the CPS leader? And she has been like, I don't think I've ever been as provoked by a colleague ever. She's, by the way, she's a lawyer, not a child welfare worker like me, but she truly sets me off. So I was thinking, I had to think of it a whole lot. Should I use her name, her first name, her full name,
I
and
would.
what the county where she came from? And then I decided I'm just going to use her first name, her title, and the place she came from, the where the case has been. And but I think it was right, because now I know that everybody can identify her, who knows about that, what has happened in that place, and she can't sue me, because she sues, she uses all the tools uh, possible. I've never experienced someone who's as yeah, I'm not going to use any. I'm a monk, so I'm not supposed to swear, but I'm really, really, she takes me off in all the ways possible. So I wanted
F
to, what?
F-I, then you haven't swear, you can just take the first letters of it.
I just
Yeah.
want to say, look, I think it's important. I use people's names. I don't in these books that we're writing, but I you got to keep that going if you want to bring awareness to it. Is she going to sue you? More than likely, no, she's not. What they do is they use this fear tactic. Look, I remember one time I was in court and I had people like protesters outside. And what I did, I sent an email out to 172 people. It took me 4 days to build that email. They were the top reporting agencies in my country. I am now at an email that goes to 264 recipients. Those are the top players in the whole world. I have the International Criminal Court, the International Criminal Court of Justice, the Vatican, all these people, every big player, the Rockefellers, they're all in there. And I am getting ready to serve them again. And I'm going to serve this link at the same time. And you know why? Because those sons of bitches are stealing children. I know it. They know it. You know it. I have more documentation in my hands than probably anybody in the whole world, because that nation that I was in, the First Nation, my gosh, they use those people like cattle in there, and no one has a voice. And that time I went in, I have an 82-page document. Look, it's right here beside me. I'm surrounded by it. I'll just show you. Oh, this is actually a bigger one. This one's like 101. And that's filed in the court. And you know, when I went in there, that judge said to me that day, well, why? He said, I don't know if I can allow you to represent these people. And I said, these people will never come to court. They're scared to death. They don't have a voice. And I'm going to keep calling it out for them, because my God, there is nothing worse in the whole entire world. And I think of it every day because my little guy's always right around me, that to be missing your child and not know where they are, not be able to talk to them. So many people reach out to me, and the courts are what they use to suppress everything. And I have all the proof that shows the courts do whatever they want. They're illegal. They can't go against these documents. They just keep committing the fraud. So I take it and I put it in a court document, and I serve it right back to them. And you know what they did recently? Because they knew I was coming for them. They went in and changed all their documents on, this is the judicial website for the Canada, like for Alberta. They changed all the document formats from Microsoft Word to PDF, and they made them so hard to maneuver that you'd have to be almost a brain surgeon to figure them out. It took me hours, but since I've been fighting this for so long, I could figure out what they're doing. And I
So
break it.
Nancy,
Yes.
what I'm hearing you say is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what I'm hearing loud and clear from you in your message is, as hard as it can get, and it does get hard, and as frustrating and as lonely and as isolating as it can feel, keep going, keep speaking until someone hears you, and don't allow yourself to be intimidated by others.
And one more thing, and that reminds me, I was inviting people to this event, and that is, use your network. You know, I was sitting on LinkedIn, and I said, okay, I want to invite people from the Norwegian Parliament. So, okay, I got like 10, 15 people who's in Parliament. And I want to invite people from the Swedish Parliament. Oh, I got the 20, 30 there. And I want to invite people from the Norwegian, the national broadcast channel, NRK. I got 50, 60 there from our major newspapers. I invited them. And I don't have no idea how many of them came, but they've seen this. They've seen it. It brings awareness.
That's something I'd like to speak to, and I really appreciate that you brought that up, because the covert also includes operating in the dark. You know, smoke and mirrors is one thing, but really when you don't even know what you don't know is going on, a lot of underhandedness can happen. And when in writing these books, I'm often asked, can I name this person? I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. And I wonder, like, well, why not? It was your experience. It's up to you if you want to. People can put two and two together pretty quickly anyway. They can understand that it's, someone in your family, or perhaps you don't want them to know, but so you don't do it, but you do it a different way under a different style. The point being, bringing attention to it by writing, like in a book, by really saying it out loud, is a great way to stamp your story. It's not just complaining to your network or your mom or your best friend or crying by yourself. It is actually making a difference. When you
Mm.
put your story down and it becomes a book, Nancy, you can speak to that. As much as you've been, I call you, the pit bull. What's happened? What's happened for you since you've been in multiple books with me, the Rattled Awake series?
Oh man. Look, when you tell someone you are an international, this is number 3, international bestseller, even from the first one, they just, their eyes light up, their face lights up. There's something about it
It
because
changes
it's
things.
like you can touch that, you can hold that, feel that, experience that, even though many people, I bet all over the world there's billions of people that want to be writers and they can't. And you know one reason they can't? Because we've been indoctrinated our whole damn lives through the school system. And COVID, holy shit, kids are struggling worldwide to catch up from what they did being locked down for 2 years. Bullshit. I got an 18 to 25-year olds. They were hit the hardest. And I feel for them. And there's other
Mm.
people out there that they're just suppressed, and now they're having a hard time to even adjust back into society. And they used COVID. That's how they went after my family. There was a plan in motion for 1 year, and I can tell you, child and family, they will scope people out. They will look for people to attack. And during COVID, they even told me in some of those offices, we seen an increase, because what happened was once you got yourself into the court, everything was so slow because it was locked down. So look, I'm telling you, this writing is, it's so powerful. Look, I just
Mm.
wrote number 18 on top of these 3, and they're starting to publish them, and they just keep adding. Like, I don't know, they're all from India, but I'm going to be in like 18 other anthologies. I think there's 4 that come out. And I
But for
just keep writing, and I tell you, I'm printing them as I go. Every damn message is the same. We're going to stand up. We're going to fight this unjust, and we're going to correct it for hope, life, and freedom. It's going to come. In my look, Justin Trudeau stepping down. He's stepping down in
he's
Canada.
running away. He's running
He's
away.
running. The finance minister, they're already trying to move her. They're trying to shuffle everybody. It's coming.
I'm glad to hear it. I know. The reason that I brought it up is because Trini and Vidar, one of the things that I think was appealing about this project is they don't have this freedom to speak this way, to publish in a book in their country. They don't have it. And everybody deserves a voice. And with these, whether it's the government or it's your husband or it's some bully in a clique that, kiss my ring, I'm smart. You need to listen to me.
You think so?
Um,
Yes, not me.
uh, listen, it's about time that there were some consequences for these behaviors. Now, there was a woman who let me know that because of the court filings, they can't say anything yet. But her daughter was the subject of a rumor mill and wrongfully arrested. And those kids that bullied her, created the rumors, got her daughter wrongfully arrested, are now facing very serious consequences. Time in jail, time in prison for perjury, among other things. It's
Mm.
about time that this was handled this way. The days have got to be gone behind us of, oh, yeah, you can get away with it because you think you're cute or you think nobody's paying attention or they won't call my name out. Guess what? We will. It is time.
Yeah,
It is time.
it is time, and I would like to share a little something from my own chapter. These are reasons for custody takeover that I've seen in documents. I've been an advisor and helper for quite a few people in Norway. Uh, the worst one I've seen is since the parent has been a ward of the state, had been in foster family or an institution, they are incapable of providing good enough care. I mean, just imagine this. The system says that we are a better carer than the parents. And then later on, when they get kids, they are taken away because we, the system, haven't given them the foundation in order to be a good enough parent themselves. I've seen this in several cases, and it just blows my mind it's possible. Also, another one was, and this is from a movie, Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway, a huge Bollywood movie, and I've read the case files for that one as well. The child doesn't use a knife and fork, but eats with his hands. It's cultural in India and many African countries. You eat with your hands. You have one hand for eating and one for the more dirty stuff. That that is not good enough care. And another one, and that also strikes me as being horrible. That was actually used against Tina and Vida. The family is poor, so they can't provide for the child. And then we use millions of Norwegian kroners in order to take over custody. We pay the foster parents quite huge sums of money, a good yearly salary to be to have custody, and we pay lawyers, we pay child welfare workers, we pay a lot of people instead of saying, okay, perhaps we should simply take this money and help the family provide good enough care if poverty is a problem. Why not change the agenda, change the narrative? But no, I find it, yeah, and also it's what's been used. It's used very often is the child has been truant from school, and I've seen that some schools they use this. The child is exposed to bullying. The parent report it, and what happens is that they are then reported to CPS because of the truancy, instead of saying, okay, we got to fix the problem of the bullying. I find it mind blowing.
Until people stop profiting off of the heads of others, and that's all. Until we stop and have a change of heart. And unfortunately, we can't change other people's hearts. So what can we do? And how can we get by? What can we do? As much as we can. We can't quit, right? Tarini, right? Nancy, we can't quit. Vidar, I love you. You guys are amazing. And that you're, listen, I want to make this point. What these two are now doing is helping parents in the same situation. They are doing their level best to share all this experience and help parents that are now going, what am I going to do? Because they know what it's like. And those who are in that situation, my heart goes out to you. Talk to them because they know, or find someone who's in it. Nancy knows that, if you're a mom and your child's being bullied in school, talk to Sharon, please. They know what it's like. If you're looking for a kind-hearted monk who can't do any wrong in my eyes, Hawk, what a guy. You really helped pull this together, and I'm so grateful for all of you. As I may have been, conducting the workshop and doing the publishing, but it was you guys that pulled this together, and you showed up, and you were brave, and you still are, and you're willing to put down on paper and speak. And I hope to God that this inspires others who feel like they can't speak up, that they should speak up. It's healing. Just today, I won't say too much, Sharon, but she had an experience where she was grossly misunderstood only all of her life. And because of her chapters, all of a sudden, Sharon, we didn't know it was so bad. All of a sudden, she's been vindicated. That's a good thing.
Yep.
That's amazing.
It is. And it makes the work that we all are continuing to do worth it. My only thing, the only thing I regret is that it takes all of this work to get that vindication. There's no reason I shouldn't have had that vindication when I was going through it, or the support of, yeah, this is really happening and it sucks and it's not your fault. And what can we do? Even if you don't, if you're an adult and you don't have the answers, or you're trying to speak out to the school or trying to speak out to a system and you're not being heard, please, please, please don't then come back around and put it off on your kid or your spouse who's being bullied at work. Be their support. Don't sit there and say, you just got to get over it, or this, that, or the other thing. Give them a damn hug. Tell them you wish there was more that you could do. You're not sure what else can be done, but you're not going to stop fighting with them. Don't start fighting with them. Fight with them, together with them. Don't fight against them and fight each other, because you're both frustrated and you don't know what to do.
I think that's going to trail on. Sorry, not Dr. Marcia. And who did our forward said this book bullying not technique, but whatever. It starts at home. And if you and I was bullied by my parents too, and then go to your room and stop crying so loud. Do you know what that does? That builds up in a kid, and it's going to pester, fester, boom. That's what I call it. And there's no
Well,
good time
look,
for boom. And
Carolyn, who couldn't be here today, but Carolyn left a message in the chat, private chat, that said one of the things she wanted people to know and wanted to be able to reiterate today was that bullying hurts, and it
Mm.
doesn't just, and especially any type of bullying hurts. But in her situation, she was bullied by a family member. She was bullied by her father, by the person that we're all taught is supposed to love you unconditionally. And there's no way that I can say everything that she went through on here right now, but I do encourage you to go get the book and read her story, because how this woman is better and not bitter is astonishing to me, because she is one of the most kind-hearted,
yes,
hard-working advocates for all you know causes and issues that mean something to her. um but when I tell you, read her chapter, I'll make it easy for you. It's in the family section. And by the way, you don't have to read the whole chapter. Just a reminder as to what Lonnie said. You could read the first few paragraphs and jump all the way to the last paragraph, and you will get the gist of what the author of that paragraph is trying to, of that chapter is trying to say within that whole story. If you're afraid you're going to be triggered, or it's just too much to handle, because the reality is hard to hear and the reality is hard to see. But please, if you want to know what you can do, you don't have to be marching on, to the Supreme Court. Would be nice, but if that's not you, if you're not a lobbyist like that, then just start supporting people right in your own backyard. Don't judge, support, get curious, ask, like Hawk was saying earlier, ask questions, especially like with a child. Ask questions before you assume that because the other thing that I used to hear is, well, what'd you do to bring it on? What I do, you made me walk in that building. That's all I did. All I had to do was walk in the building, and then it was free game.
Hmm.
So don't 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 assume that the person that's being bullied is asking for it, so to speak. Ask questions, get curious. When you're meeting with, if you meet Nancy and you meet Trin and Vidar, ask questions before you start judging them as though they did something wrong or they're these horrible humans. That's what you can do. If you see bullying, say something. But even more than say something, do something. And if you don't want to get involved with the bully, you don't have to. Give the person who's being bullied a hug. Give him a, what can we do, behind the scenes. I'm not asking you to put yourself in harm's way of the bully if that's what you're afraid of. Those of us that aren't afraid, we'll keep doing it, advocating this way. But you can just be supportive in your own backyard, so to speak.
Yeah, and I would like to add something. Even though I am quite critical of my colleagues' work, that does not mean that if I see a child who is truly suffering and I do my own due diligence, then I would report it. It's not as if I'm saying that the whole system is evil. That is not what I'm saying. I do know that I have very many colleagues I worked with. I have no idea how many hundreds of different social workers, and most of them come from a good place. There are some, as always, some rotten apples in the barrel that destroys for so many. And I think that's it's really important to remember that
Yeah.
I don't want to stigmatize my whole profession.
There's rotten apples in every profession because every profession is made up of human beings, and there's rotten apples in the human race. So I want to piggyback on the fact that of what you just said, that there are really good professionals out there. You know, there are a lot of us that will, go the extra mile and will do the reporting that we're mandated to do, not because we're mandated to do it, but because in our hearts, morally, we know that's what's right. So none of us on stage today are here to say that the entire system sucks and that there's all bad people in the system. We're part of that system. But what we are saying is we can't be quiet and just push under the rug the things that are negative that are happening, because they're just going to continue to happen and they're going to continue to escalate. So, and we're also standing up for the people that are doing it right. The people that are afraid, that are doing it right, but are afraid to say something because they're afraid of the retribution. We're willing to stand up for those people as well, because there are a lot of good people in the system. So I totally agree with you, Hawk. And I just want to say one more thing. Lonnie, you were singing our praises for our bravery and what we've put into this book. But you wrote three very, very vulnerable, very heartfelt, very real and raw chapters of your own experiences around being bullied, in addition to taking on the whole uh, concept of doing an entire anthology on bullying and all of the facets of bullying. And it's not an easy topic to take on because it's not a popular topic that people want to talk about. It's not easy emotionally. Let's not even bring into the conversation, which I am bringing it in by saying that, but all the work that goes on behind the scenes with the publishing and the editing and the getting the manuscripts out. So I cannot let this live end without giving you, you know, the same recognition that you gave us, because without you there would be no us. And I just want to say one other thing. If you want to get your story out there but you're afraid to do it, Lonnie is your woman. And I'm not just saying that because I said before that we are friends too, but Lonnie has a technique and a heart and a way to make sure that you get your story out there and you say what needs to be said and do it in a safe way where you don't have to be afraid of consequences. She's not going to let you put yourself in a worse situation where you'll experience consequences from telling your story, but she's going to give you the freedom to have your voice and say what needs to be said. So if you have any story that you want to tell about anything, but you've been afraid to do it, please do yourself a favor, do the world a favor, and book an appointment with Lonnie. You won't be sorry you did.
Thank you very kindly.
Håkon, hører du
Yeah.
meg, Håkon?
Yeah.
Jeg vil gjerne bare si noe på noe, så du kanskje oversetter til meg. For
Yes, I'll translate.
Grunnen for at jeg gikk med i boka, det er ikke bare for å fortelle min historie, men jeg ser på den situasjonen som er i dag, at vi er jo egentlig beroende av systemet og barnevern og alt som er det. Det må det jo finnes. For det finnes jo mange barn som har
Men ska jag bara översätta det? What Vidar is saying is that the reason that he joined the book project wasn't only to talk about his own story, but also to share that there is a system, and we are dependent on the system, but we are depending on it being a functional system.
Fair enough.
For det som er det store problemet oppi det hele her, det tror jeg faktisk at barnevernet ser vel egentlig ikke at de i noen tilfeller så misbruker om sin egen makt. Altså det går så langt i systemet.
And the problem is that sometimes CPS or CFS or whatever you call them, they don't see that they abuse their own power. By the way, Vida is a psychologist with more than 20 years of experience is working in mental hospitals. So when he talks, it's not just as a father, but also as a professional.
Yeah.
For that.
Thank you. I'm so happy to have been able to give a voice to you guys. And there's a power in doing books. It establishes authority, credibility, and expertise. And it can only help you guys in moving forward. And I hope that it does. I know this wasn't easy for you. And I think there's others that need a voice too. It's a lot. It's a lot. For the person that I see that, Greg, yeah, you guys are real authors. And there are people who are not so covert. In fact, they're rather flamboyant, loudmouths about what makes a real author and what doesn't. And I'm going to tell you that you are. You're co-authors of a very important book that's never been done in this way ever before. And it really is important and special and unique. And it helps the reader, but it also helps you. I mean, it's a win-win all over the place. So to those people who out there who need to put someone down to make themselves look better, you're only making yourself look bad. Because these are real writers, these are real authors who are speaking from the heart because they're real people with real stories that really need to be heard. So on you.
Well said, Lonnie,
Yeah.
especially the exclamation point. Can I add one thing about Vidar's story? I just want to say that Vidar's story is a story that was told from a father to his kids. What he wants his kids to know about what happened and what they mean to him and what they've always mean to him, because he and Trini are both certain, and I'm certain as well, that they are being fed BS about how their parents feel about them and why they were taken from their parents. So I just want to say that when you get the book, because I'm really hoping that you're now inspired to get this book and help us by leaving recommendations. We're not, the review doesn't have to be a review of, this was insightful. It can be, but it can also just be telling people why they, why you felt, what you got from the book and why you think that others should read it. Why is this book important? And coming from you, other people, not us as the authors, it's going to mean more. So for those of you that are asking, what can we do? What can little old me do? Well, little old you can help by getting the message out, by just encouraging others to read what's in between these pages. And Vidar's story, all of our stories need to be read, but Vidar's story needs to be read because it's a letter from a father to his kids. And if you have even a shred of a heart, you are going to be moved by every story, but you are going to be moved. Understand what bullying does to families. And when we break down the family unit, and I don't care what the dynamic is, it can be a single parent home, it could be the same sex parent. It's not about that. Whatever the dynamic is, when we break down the family, which is the root and the foundation of everything that goes on around us, you are breaking down society. So if you want to build a stronger society, you've got to start by building a stronger family unit, and then build on that to build stronger communities. And that starts with being willing to understand something that somebody else is putting out there. You don't have to agree. We can agree to disagree. You can have your opinion, I can have mine, but we need to be willing to support and not judge. So if you want to see the world through the eyes of people that have experienced bullying and from the eyes of a father and a mother who loves their children, and Nancy too, because man, that pit bull went all out for her kids and her family, and she's continuing to do it. And they both are on a mission now. It's not just about their families; it's about every other family behind them. They could have just quit after they finished dealing with their own families, but they didn't, because they know that that's what they can do. So I just wanted to make sure that Vidar's story got a little bit more mention here, because it is extremely powerful, extremely moving, and it took a lot of courage for him to be willing to write it in that way.
Thank you,
Okay.
Nancy.
I really appreciate that because it is very moving and it needs to be read. And I just want to say this, guys. If you're considering the book and going, why would I want to hear somebody's bad story? Because somebody you know may be bullied, because what is this? I don't even know the statistic on how many people have experienced it directly or indirectly. A lot of people. So just get the book. It's a 15-minute read. If you do the single little one-liner at the top under a chapter title and at the end, and you get the gist of the story, and you get the message from the author of what I wish I'd known or done sooner, or what the what kind of helpful tip came out of this. And that is a start. You don't have to necessarily dig through someone's dirty socks to figure out yours, but their stories are there and they cover all the different aspects. Please, please, please leave a recommendation for the book if you got it, because there are others who will be looking for something to a knot to tie on and hang on. Am I the only one? Am I crazy? Is it just me? There's going to be people who need to know what you think about this. So please put it on Amazon. Please share it. It's free. It's free for the next couple days, but it's still cheap. It's you've got 9 people sharing a lifetime of wisdom. It's a cheap thrill. Like, yeah, really.
Yeah. Okay, we've been there for an hour and a half. I'm thinking we are not the only one who needs a break.
Yeah.
I would like to thank you all for coming, and for I mean, it's, as Lonnie said, this is a book that you need to read it. I've read it all, and I found it, because it shows the full spectrum of life. It's not just about the pain, but it's also about the joys. It is about the highs and the lows and everything. And I think that's very important. It's very easy for many people, also trauma focused, like, oh, we got to focus on the trauma. But life is made up of much more than trauma. Life is whatever we make it. I think
Well,
that's
I just want to say thank you to you for hosting this event. And I also just want to leave people with one more thing to end on, if that's okay, because I know you read the poem in the beginning, that I had showed, that I had put in as part of something I wrote. And so the thing that I want to leave people with, because I do want to leave people with, what can I do? If you are being bullied, or you know somebody that's being bullied, or you suspect that somebody might be going through bullying, help that person. And here's a simple way, but a powerful way that you can help that person. Help them not be holding on to the end of a rope for dear life. Help them by find the thing that will motivate them to hold on. For me, it was my love of learning, and for my desire to keep going to meet my 2 goals of being a mom and helping others. And I had no idea how any of that was going to play out, but I would go into the bookstore and I would pick up, yes, at 10 years old, 9 years old, I went into the section that said self-help, self-improvement, self-development, psychology and sociology. They all thought I was nuts. My family, the guys at the bookstore, because that was when you could actually go into a bookstore. So the reason that I'm sharing this is because help somebody figure out what they can hold on to and keep going, because there's something that all of us in this book found to keep us going. Help that person find whatever it is within them that will help them keep going, and you be their accountability partner to make sure that they do that.
Let the bullies have a book.
Jeg har bare én ting å si til dere alle sammen. Det er at jeg er veldig glad i dere alle sammen. Og jeg er veldig takknemlig for at dere får lov å være med på denne boka.
Henge med på den.
Yeah, Vida and Tina want to say that they're very grateful that they were a part of this project. And speaking as a therapist myself, I've seen that it has been a really tough process for them. It's not difficult to see that, but they pushed through it. They got through it, and they got through the workshop, and with good help from all of the Lonnie and all the rest, and yeah, they showed the Norwegian Viking spirit, and I think that's quite important to have. You know, we don't have horns, but we do have quite strong fists. So
I'm full of Irish blood. We're connected
yes.
somewhere all
Oh
along
yes,
the
we're
way.
probably related. I guess.
Guys, thank you for this, Hawk.
Thank you all.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you all
Not
so much.
Christmas yet. Figure it out. I want to say
Thank you, everybody.
I want to say to all of you, not only you on the panel or what you call it, also to the listeners, never ever give up on yourself, and never let them bully you again. Come to me and talk instead.
Well said.
Thank you, Tina.
Because
Good final words. Good final words.
Because they
Thank
get a laugh instead of a grunt. I hope.
Okay.
Ja.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.